Welcome back, everybody. We missed you all so much, we decided to do another one of these. I know you got questions, and hopefully I have all the piercing answers you need here. My name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional piercer. I've been doing this since 1994, so I've got a little bit of practice. And basically, like I said, what we're doing is we're taking some questions, and I'm going to answer them as thorough as possible. The more thorough your question is, the better I'm going to be able to answer this for you. And I also want you all to say hi to Nova, who's the voice behind the camera.
Hello, everybody.
So, and the other thing, too, is give us a little shout-out. Say hi, let us know you're here, let us know where you're from. Yeah. So, Nova, how was your week?
My week was pretty great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time at my Muay Thai gym. I unfortunately did have to pull my high nostrils not too long ago.
Yes, I was there.
So, yes, you pulled them for me. So I am sad about that. We're going to give it another go here pretty soon, probably after conference. And I have a feeling the second time's going to go better because I'm going to pierce them with gold, and that always makes them go better, right?
Yeah. And then we also did learn a lesson, didn't we, Nova?
Yes, we did. A few.
Well, okay, the first lesson, I think, is downsizing.
Yes.
You know, if when everything was good, we should have downsized, but we just got so busy and we just kept pushing it off. And I should have really pushed them a little harder to get that downsized too. And I think that's when the problems started kicking in. And the thing is once you have bumps for that long and you just can't get rid of them after so many months, sometimes it's just easier to start over. Yeah,
it's true. Actually, because of the bump being so large and in charge.
Yeah.
The one actually started to heal at not quite a perpendicular angle, so that was one of the reasons I really wanted to pull it, because when it's not perfectly perpendicular, it's tough to wear anything other than beads.
Correct. It'd drive me nuts if it wasn't straight enough like that. So
yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of pals in here. Naomi says hello.
Hey, Naomi.
Emily says hi, Scott. Josh Kennedy says, hey, Scott, love you, buddy. You too, Nova. We love you too, Josh.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, guys.
We appreciate it. Uncle Shane says hello.
Hey, what's up, Uncle Shane?
Jesse says hola.
Why is it when someone puts uncle in front of their name, you automatically just feel like, I know who that is?
Yeah, that's true.
Glad to have you here. And you too, Jesse.
Absolutely. City's from West Virginia. Hope y'all are doing well. Hey, City, I'm actually from Pittsburgh originally, so about 45 minutes from the West Virginia border.
Not too far.
Not far at all.
Yeah.
Not far at all. Uncle Shane's watching us from Wisconsin.
My old neighbor, I'm from Minnesota, so.
Yeah, not too far out. Hey, Matt from Sweden. That's
What's
awesome.
What's up,
Matt? When you can't find a friend says, hello, everybody.
Well, when you can't find a friend, you found some here. We've had you here in the past. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming to hang out. Easy Being Green says, hey, from Memphis. Tyler, Scott, Nova, hello. East Tennessee, woo, love it.
All right.
Dominique sent looks like half of a smiley face or something like that. Thank you very much.
Just half of one. It's like a half a good day.
Yes.
Second half's the better half.
Yes. Anastasia says, hi, Scott and Nova. Always looking forward to the lives. Thank you so much. And we've got a question from City, actually. Or maybe a comment more so than a
Okay, we'll start with a comment before we get to the questions. I have something I got to say, too.
Sure. So from City, got my doth pierced and started stretching my 0-gauge conch punch. I'm going up by 1 millimeter increments. Good.
Amazing.
And holy hell, is it rough. Yes. And I'm up to 10 gauge on my septum finally. Woo!
Good for you. It's a journey, and that's what stretching is. And it's like you just appreciate it so much more when you actually take that journey. So good for you, and that's pretty amazing. Congrats. And that important thing I need to say, cheers. We didn't do that yet. Cheers to each and every one of you. Love you all. And if you haven't already, hit the like and hit the subscribe. It really it does mean a lot.
It really does help. It really does help.
So,
thank you, guys.
So cool. Let's bring on the questions.
Oh yeah. When you can't find a friend says, I just got to 0-gauge on my lobes. So excited about it. Awesome. 0-gauge I feel like is a big step.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
I feel like you finally made it somewhere stretching when you hit 0. The options start really opening up. You have more plug options, ring options, hanger options. You start getting into saddles. A bunch of cool stuff happens at 0-gauge. So it's pretty rad. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Pirelli's coming to say hey. Said sup, Scott and Nova Bear. You guys are streaming way late today. Yes, we are. Yeah, we decided to try and do like an early one once per month, and then a later one once per month, so we can try and get as wide an audience as possible.
Absolutely. And again, we're just kind of editing these, and we're going to put up the stream here in the next couple weeks too. We got some stuff with the editors now, and hopefully that works out well, and you'll be seeing it real soon.
Oh yeah, we've got some cool stuff cooking. He said, just did grocery shopping in North Vegas. It's over 100 degrees this evening. Yes, it is.
It's warm out there. We just got back from eating some dinner, I guess. So,
Yeah.
it was warm. But we ate outside. And we were talking about it, too. It's like, it's almost too hot, but they had one of those mister things, and the wind was going through, and we were in the shade. So it actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it was super nice.
Pretty well.
I'm going to try with this name. It looks like Toilet Scrub 3.
Toilet Scrubs 3. Okay.
Toilet Scrub. Yeah, that makes more sense. I was like, Toilets Crub.
Put the space in the wrong spot there.
I don't know if this is really our forte, but he said, hi, is getting a tattoo on the bottom of your inner lip a bad idea? How hard is the healing process for that?
On the inside of the bottom lip, okay, here's what I've heard. It's purely a rumor, but I've heard it from several people, so I don't know if this is true. The inside of the bottom of the lip sometimes is kind of thin, and the ink can actually bleed through, and some people have gotten some bruising or a little bleed through on the other side of their lip. So that could be a possibility, something maybe worth looking into. I've never seen it personally, so I don't know if I'm spreading a rumor, but that's the best thing I can tell you about that one. I mean, that's about all I really know. I had mine done back in the day. I had blue teeth for several days. It's kind of a pain in the butt to heal. But whatever, then you forget about it after a while. But that's the big concern, is that it's going to bleed through. And I don't know if that would have to do with the thickness of the lip, how deep the tattoo artist puts the ink in there, or what the actual deal is. But it's something I've heard of and something worth looking into.
Absolutely. How did it hold up?
Blurry.
Yeah.
Blurry.
That's always what I've been told to expect with inner lip stuff.
Yep.
So, Chloe says, hi from Rhode Island.
Hello, Chloe.
Ivy, hello from Florida. Brianna Sykes says, hi, Scott and Nova from South Alabama. Hello, everyone. Long time no see. Scott said, Pirelli913 said, hey, Scott, I have relatives in Bowstring, Minnesota. Do you know where that is? The town is like one general store.
I was like, Bowstring doesn't sound familiar to me, but there's a ton of little tiny. Yeah, I wonder what the population is there. But Bowstring sounds pretty north and maybe northwest in Minnesota. I don't know, though. No, I haven't heard of it. Sorry.
Let's see. Ellen says, I love you, Scott, and you're the only piercer I watch. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you so much. We love you, too.
And Dominique said it was a wave, not half of a smiley face. We appreciate it. I knew it was positive.
Now you get a wave and a full smile back, so yeah.
Awesome. Jesse asks, hi, Scott and Nova. This one is for Nova. I forget the person you recommended at 9 Moons Piercing in New York City. What's the artist's name again? Well, for what it's worth, everybody there is awesome. You could go to basically anybody and they'll take good care of you. But my personal friend is Johnny Pierce. He's out of 9 Moons, and he's an awesome dude, awesome piercer. And his last name is actually Pierce.
You took the word straight out of my mouth. I was like, how do you get that lucky?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Strawberry City says hi.
That's Strawberry City.
Ellen Fairley said plugs are so cool. I assume they're referencing the zero gauge plugs we were talking about earlier.
Or my new plugs in my nose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got some different ones in there. I got some wood ones in there from
awesome.
America, and they have like a little concave top on there. I like the wood plugs. I used to wear a lot more wood ones, but I just got out of changing them out, and shame on me, so I'm trying to wear some different ones more often.
Yeah, you told me that you have a huge collection. I've only seen
probably 30 or 40 plugs. Yeah, so that's...
What size are your nostrils, actually? I don't know if I've ever asked that.
7/16.
Hell yeah. Yep. That's awesome.
One size above 00.
I love that. How long did it take?
A little over 10 years. I mean, my first nostril was pierced with a needle with an 8 gauge. The second one was pierced at a 6 gauge, maybe about a year or so afterwards.
Cool.
And then it was just a slow process over 10 or 12 years to get to the size.
Awesome.
And I tried as much as I could, but the thing is it's that slow of a process. It hurt. It sucked. I didn't want to do it, but I always knew I wanted a little bit more. And I feel like if I went just a little bit more, I'm going to start getting the bowing on the bottom of my nose, and I don't want to really shape my nose much more than it already has. So
fair enough.
So this is the size I'm at, and I'm happy with them.
Nice. Chloe Fernandez asks, hey, thoughts on quote-unquote studs, ? So
the company studs?
I'm not sure if you're referencing the company or the jewelry type. I would imagine probably the company.
I'm guessing the company. I don't know that much about them. One of my old employees actually got an apprenticeship through there, and I'm going to be talking to her more at APP in the next couple of weeks. I think she's going to be showing up, and I'll get to know more about them then. It seems like it's kind of like one of those fast chain, teach a lot of people and kind of move on. I don't know that much about them. Nova, do you have 2 cents? Do you know too much?
I know absolutely nothing about them, and she said yes, it is the company.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have enough to really make a full comment, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll get to know a lot more about them.
Absolutely, yeah. We're actually going to be closed down for the week of conference.
Yes.
Which is, I believe, not next week, but the week after, something like that. So that's pretty exciting. It came up quick.
And I get to see my old friend Lola. It'll be nice.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of my friends too. Joshua Kennedy says, the best piercers are always fashionably late.
Thank you. Fashionably would be like hours late.
Yeah, yeah, right. Gritsu says, hi, Scott. Guess who has the infamous piercing bump? My condolences.
No. Oh, no. Yeah. You know what, though? If you keep getting piercings, you're eventually going to get a bump. It just happens. I've had my fair share of bumps, and all you have to do is sleep on them wrong, towel catches it, a dog jumps on you, you know. For me, someone hugging me and getting the back of my neck caught in their shirt or jacket or whatever it is. A lot of variables, and bumps happen.
Yep.
But you'll get rid of it.
Not this last time, but the time before I got my hair and beard trimmed up, and I pointed out to the lady who did it. I was like, hey, I have a fresh forward helix, so like, can you just make sure you don't catch that? And she was like combing out my hair and got it caught in the comb, and just I was like, I had a bump for a little bit after that, but
Ouch.
Yeah, not a good time.
I mean, we love hairdressers. They're, some of my favorite clients, but they're probably like the number one cause of bumps.
Yeah, truly.
No offense. Any hairdressers out there, we love you all, but it's like, yeah, those combs and brushes. And if you're not doing it at your, salon, we're doing it at home, so it's the utensils, it's the tools.
It is.
Yes.
Indeed. Joshua Kennedy said, my buddy's uncle's niece told me that her friend's best friend. That's a mouthful. What does that make us?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I'm glad you got that reference. Said that her lip tattoo healed without mouthwash, so don't worry about it. Okay.
Mouthwash is yeah, it's a solid source. So a mouthwash is a preventative thing, and you're just trying to keep the area as clean as possible, trying to flush the piercing after the major meals. Your friend of a friend's uncle's neighbor's cousin, I think. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, they are right. You could heal it up. You can also heal up any piercing without doing any aftercare whatsoever. But the chances of you having problems and issues goes through the roof, and you have way more possible problems in the future. So that's why we're doing the preventative maintenance, which is the aftercare. The aftercare product doesn't heal the product, doesn't heal the piercing for you. It just prevents problems. Awesome. Might do a little bit of healing in there with the salt water, but yeah, not much.
Not too much.
You're the one who does all the work.
Yep, it's true. City says, also, Scott, your mantis hoops look dope. Still trying to convince my fiance to let me try them. Awesome. I am so jealous of Scott's mantis rings. It never crossed my mind to put rings in it, and now since you've done it, it's like all I want to do.
I love them. It was my initial idea when I first had it done. I was thinking about doing tighter rings, but when I first got the studs put in, got them healed up enough, I tried putting rings in there, and they got irritated right away, so I just went right back to the studs. But I think I might try little smaller ones, more snug ones in the future, get them so they're more straight all the time, just like that.
So cool.
I love them, though. I love them. Thank you very much.
One of these days, I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna swagger jack you. Brianna Sykes said, "What are y'all's thoughts on mushroom body jewelry? The brand, not the mushroom shape."
They're cool. Okay, Nova, is that the company who makes very limited runs? No, that's Kiwi, where they do one and then it's done. I've seen their stuff before. I'm just drawing a blank. I think they do a lot of gold tops. Yeah. There's so many companies. It's hard to keep up with everyone these days. And I think they have a whole bunch of cool different design tops and
These
things
guys,
like that.
yeah. It says they're going to be at APP Booth Expo.
See what kind of stuff they have. Right on.
Yeah, that's cool.
Got chains and clickers and fancy stuff. Oh my, that ear looks amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it does.
It's like royalty earrings.
Truly, yeah, they're awesome.
It looks nice. Again, I'll have to check it out when I go to APP this year. Yeah, I guess we're only about 11 days away from APP.
Yes, we are. It happened fast.
It happens so quick.
It never really hits me until I walk in and I just like see all the piercers there, and I'm like, oh no, it has begun.
It's so fun. It's so fun, everyone. It's like you walk in and you're just completely surrounded by people with the most beautiful jewelry and piercings and tattoos and mods, and it's just overwhelming. And if you're not in the industry and you walk into it, people always go,
Whoa.
what's going on right now? It's the best.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I wonder if it's the most highly concentrated place of people with like stretch piercings or face tattoos like
Maybe,
ever.
maybe. I mean, because like think of all the tattoo conventions and the giant ones that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but I think there's more modded people with piercings at this convention.
Yeah, I agree.
But then again, there's also the one in Australia and London, and I'm not sure wherever other parts of the piercing convention happens in the world. But I think we're still the biggest, so it probably is the largest gathering.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. Lost my spot. I'm sorry. Silently Judging You asks, what's the worst horror story you've heard? I recently saw pictures of a cold sore that went in one side of a lip piercing and out the other. Still nauseous.
Gnarly.
Truly.
Worst, I'm not going to tell you my worst because I don't want everyone to get sick and whatnot. But I will tell you one I heard recently. There's a shop around here that this guy wanted to get his nipple pierced at a larger size, pierced him way too shallow and basically cut his nipple off and used some super glue and tried gluing it back on for him.
Oh yeah, Vegas piercing.
Do your homework, people. Do your homework. And he's asking me what he can do, and I was like, you need to call the city and get a lawyer so you can sue that guy. He cut your nipple off, basically. So,
yeah. I don't know if he was like, oh yeah, we can just sew it back on for you, but sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. Unfortunately, not something we can do. Mats said, I got my first piercing 10 days ago. It was a PA. I had done research, which is rad.
First piercing, way to go, man.
Yep, I had done research before and was calm during it, or to do it. It was an apprentice who did his first PA with the help from a mentor. He said it took an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow. I'm sure the piercing was extremely fast. It was probably a matter of getting the jewelry in there and getting the bead on there, because when you have a new piercer, they're a little bit more shaky and it's a little bit more scary. And for a first genital piercing, for both of you, that had to have been just nerve-wracking. But I bet quite the rush too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, I'm sure that's all it was, is just like the instructor explaining where to go, like on which side of the frenum or through the middle, how deep you want to go, the angle of the piercing, how the receiving tube works to create, there's so many factors. But yeah, piercers like me appreciate people like you, because that's what's creating better piercers in the world. They're getting proper instruction to do it the proper way. It may not be the fastest and smoothest way to get pierced, but you're part of that person's education, and you probably got a deal on the piercing too. So,
absolutely, my first genital piercing was a PA done by an apprentice. So there's a lot of communication. It was actually her first genital piercing ever. So there's a lot of communication that has to happen. Yeah, that is rad. Andy Leach says, love from Scotland. Your nose piercing story made me sweat.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. It really was.
Yeah, he's chock full of them. Joshua Kennedy says, rumor has it that Scott hasn't even teared up once for any of his piercings.
Not true at all. You can see it in the videos. Rumor. It's been photoshopped.
Pretty much any nostril stuff will make you tear up.
It totally will. You can't help it. It's like you pluck a hair and your eyes start watering and it starts going. I'm going to hold still. I don't really move at all, but my eyes will fill up with water just like everyone else's. Pretty normal.
Absolutely.
Once in a blue moon, someone won't, but I don't think you can even predict it. It's not about how tough you can be, or it's just sometimes it just doesn't happen to the random people.
It's true. Yeah, every once in a while, but it's more common than not. Chip Douglas says, "Hey Scott, quick question: is the hidden helix a rough heal? I'm really considering it. By the way, Melissa says hi. Both of our piercings are healing wonderfully.
What's up, Chip? I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's a helix piercing. It's normal helix piercings are very perpendicular, so if you sleep on them, they're going to twist and contort. But being this one's kind of back and at an angle like that, I would guess it'd be slightly easier than a normal helix. That's my guess. I've never healed a hidden helix, but I've healed helixes before. And with the angle, I just can't imagine it getting in the way or getting bumped as much as a normal helix would.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there.
Yeah.
I also haven't healed one though, but I am probably after conference. I'm gonna have either you or Kelsey do one on me. I haven't decided who yet. One of you is gonna get my high nostrils, and the other will get a hidden helix.
I'm gonna need a rook soon too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I actually love doing rook piercings, and I'm really excited to try rook piercing bottom up, like you showed me last time.
It works so much better. I really love it.
I talked to a few of my friends, and a couple of them do it that way, and seem to really dig it.
Yep.
Let's see. Kim Comey says, "Hi Scott, I love your insight, and I've learned so much watching your videos. And now I have 7 ear piercings in one ear, and will be getting more soon." Heck yeah!
Amazing. That is so cool. Congratulations, and you're going for more. They are kind of addicting. That should be a big disclaimer on the front of our video. Like, these things are addicting. Be careful, people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like on what they put on cigarette packs. It's like, warning, this substance is addictive.
This piercing will lead to other piercings. First one's free.
Yeah, right? Let's see. Swamp Ass says, "Sup, Scott and Nova. How's it going, Swamp Ass?"
Love Swamp Ass.
Sarah Wardle says, "I was quite shocked today. I saw a toddler, I would guess around 3, who had her lobes pierced twice."
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's... Why?
Yeah, makes no sense.
There's this video, this little short going on YouTube that keeps popping up, and I'm not sure what country it is. It's somewhere around India, I think, and it shows this younger girl, if I had to guess, probably 5 to 7 years old, getting her septum pierced.
Huh.
I think it was with a gun, and then you go through the comments, and it's just like, it's not from your culture, it's not from your culture, you can't make comment, and it's just like, it's weird, because like, it totally seems wrong. You're right, it's not from our culture, but I don't know what age is all those things happen in other cultures too.
I would also say it's nobody's culture to use a piercing gun.
That's probably no, it is 100% accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely the concept of like the cultural pieces of it. I'm open, but especially with a piercing gun, nah. No
yeah, septum with the piercing gun at the mall or something like it was bad.
Yep.
Comments were all over the place.
I'm sure.
I started typing, and I was like, no,
not worth it.
Not worth it.
I've done that so many times where I type it out, and I'm like, you know what?
It's not worth it.
That's funny. Ursula's Odds and Sods.
What's up, Ursula?
Hey, Ursula asks or says, "Here's a chicken or egg riddle. Is it harder to find jewelry over an inch because people don't go that big, or do people not go that big because it's harder to find jewelry? I've really started to like the look of 1 1/4, but I'm hesitant to have a goal size over an inch because it's supposedly harder to find larger plugs."
Start looking.
Yep.
What do you want? I mean, there's a lot of companies you can order from, custom order stuff, because you just got to figure out, like if you're going woods, someone came in the other day and their ears were all flared up and like it's only like a 1/2 inch, and it was only this, and it was really good quality wood, and it was polished really good. And I'm like, "Where'd you get it from?" And they're like, "Amazon." And I was like, "Okay, what kind of wood is it?" And they're like, "I don't know, it's a dark wood." And we looked it up, and I've never heard of this wood ever before. And I'm like, you could have allergic reaction to whatever the oils or the chemicals are inside that plug. I mean, yeah, it has a nice polish to it, but there's certain things that are very toxic in nature, and you got to be careful what you put in your body. So if you can get a nice list like Omerica.com, okay, you can see they have like 6 or 8 different types of woods that they use. Those are all safe, proven woods. You know, you can go a little bit more outside the box, but if you stick with those woods, everything's going to be good. And with a company like Omerica, you just make all the plugs you want. Go onto that website, you're going to see all the designs. You can get hollow ones, you can get solid ones, you get convex, concave, inlaid ones, and then you start getting into saddles. Now, once you start getting into saddles, it doesn't matter how big your ears are because you're going to be able to wear the saddles because it shows the elongation of the lobe. Then we also get into
I love saddles.
weights. And yeah, can you pull up saddles for us real quick? Or show
Yeah,
me some
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of combinations. You can also get into stone plugs, but stone plugs need to be a little bit more tight and more secure because the weight can cause them to fall out. Now, stone weights is another story. Those are really, really amazing. You can always get into like smaller captor bead rings. Like here, some of the saddles, you can see how they don't have to, most of these are pretty snug, but they don't have to be that snug because there's enough of a little saddle on the inside where it hangs down and it's not going to cause it to fall out. Yeah.
Yep. If my ears were stretched more, this
There,
is
like the far,
that's what
the
I'd be
far
wearing.
side. It was the far left you're looking at there. The guy with the, yeah, you see how that's like hanging down and there's a nice big gap on the top? Yeah, he could totally wear bigger ones than that, but that's staying in and showing off. I think that's beautiful. So once you get to inch, it does go into a different category. You're not going to find all the same types of plugs, but you jump into a way bigger, more classy selection, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's tougher to
because-
find, but
Yeah, it's tougher to find, and you'll probably pay a little more for it. But
Yep.
it's when you get to that size, it's like it's only people who care now. So,
correct. You jump into a different category of.
Yeah, exactly. Silently Judging You says, I know a woman who complains her hairstylist catches her piercings every time. No idea why she still goes there. Yeah, I'll give my hairstylist credit. I'm sure it can be hard to remember. And, you know, they're thinking about making sure they do a good cut, not necessarily
Here's
taking care
the
of our
thing.
piercings.
Stop it from happening. Before you go in, maybe take a piece of gauze and tape it over your ear. They make like different not saran wrap, but like different bowl coverings that cover your ear for dyeing your hair. Can you pull some of that up on Amazon?
Sure,
yeah.
I'll try.
Ear cover for hair dyeing. Yeah, just type that in. And you're going to see there's different things you can put on there. It may look ridiculous, and, you know, it's not going to stop everything, but it's going to let your hairdresser or, you know, see that you got something going on there, and it's going to remind them. So he's setting up a tray right now because apparently he can't use the mouse. So
Yeah,
set up a little TV tray.
Struggle
in the
bussing a
back.
little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Luna de Blue says, hi, I have to say my nose piercing has healed faster than my cartilage.
Yes.
I have a mantis piercing and a nostril piercing. I just
Right
wonder
on.
why.
I think the nose is way more vascular than the ear. The ear definitely doesn't have as much blood flow, and you need the white blood cells to heal that piercing faster. Nostrils are notorious for healing much, much quicker. A lot of people seem healed in about a month to 2 months, but I mean, it does take several months after that to be fully healed. But for a helix piercing, I tell people expect 6 months to a year. Expect closer to a year so you're not going to be disappointed.
And I really think that, like, the importance of whatever, what's the right way to say this? The importance, like, to to survival that whatever.
Words, they're so hard.
What I'm trying to say is that our nose is more important than the end of our ears. So our body is probably prioritizing healing that over a helix piercing.
Oh, yeah, because if you chopped off your ear, you're just like taking off
Doesn't
the
matter
satellite
that
part.
much.
But
Yeah, chopping off your nose, you might struggle to breathe and struggle to survive from that. But like, yeah, you can lose an ear and be fine.
good point.
So I'm just theorizing, but
It's an idea. It's an idea, but it is definitely more vascular. They definitely bleed more than helixes do.
for sure. And something to back that up is also the speed at which both oral and genital piercings heal, because they have a tendency to heal much quicker than
Yes,
say, you know, ear cartilage piercing.
but a lot of times there's more blood flow to the area too.
Exactly. Yeah, and
So there is more of a rush to heal that up if there's more blood flow to the area.
Yep.
Because you don't want to bleed out, and at the same time you're getting the white blood cells faster, so it does heal quicker.
There you go.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting to think about, right?
Yeah. Did you find any ear covers? Or
Yes, I
any-
did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. See, like these little plastic ear covers, they may get in the way a little tiny bit. Or like I've bought those like hard rubber ones before. They don't fit very well. someone put a rubber glove on the bottom of the ear plug. So, I mean, you got to get creative here. If it's getting yanked every time, and if the person isn't fixing the problem on their end, fix it on your end. You know, there
Agreed.
are a lot of creative ways to go about this here. So,
It's true.
and that's the best thing I can really tell you. And if your hairdresser says, I don't like this, it gets in my way of doing my job, well, stop clipping my ear. Say, you know, do I get a $20 discount every time you yank on it then?
There you go.
You know?
That changed their tune then.
Real quick.
Sarah Wardle says, I think Scott is the buddy's uncle's niece's fairy godmother.
I'm a fairy something. I don't even know. Yeah.
Truly.
Fairy god piercer.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Fairy god piercer. I love that. Zombie says, hey Scott, I got to meet you back in April at the Sick New World show during Slipknot set. I've been meaning to catch one of your streams, but I'm still so stoked that I actually got to see you in person.
Yes, I remember you. How you doing, man? Good to see or good to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Going very, very well. Thanks for asking. Hope things are going well for you too.
Pirelli913 asks, how common have you heard of somebody, or how common is it to get a piercing ripped out? I know Kelsey had to take out her VCH, or Christina, I think it was a Christina, due to that horror story she told a few weeks ago. My concern is fainting or passing out and falling on my face. For the record, I have labret and an eyebrow, but it's still always in the back of my mind.
Okay, so ripping out, I don't think that really happens because we're going to go extreme here for a second. We're going to talk about suspensions. That's where people hang from hooks. We do a 10 gauge or 8 gauge hook in someone's back, and that one hook can support up to, say, roughly 120 pounds. I think before the skin even starts to rip. So when someone pulls on something like that, it's possible it's going to rip, but it's like for it to come all the way through, I find that very, very unlikely. Now, the situations where piercings have ripped out is when someone has a rejected eyebrow piercing and there's only a hair on the front of it barely holding it in, and it gets caught and it's like, ow, and that hurts a little bit. Oh, it just got ripped out. No, it's been rejecting out for the last several weeks, and it finally got caught on something and ripped out. But to a normal established piercing, you pull on it hard, it's going to rip a little bit, it's not going to rip out. One of the worst ones I've seen recently not being ripped out was someone sent this in a picture.
I was just going to say, talk about this.
Rock climbing. Can you tell the story? You read the email?
Sure. So she actually gave us a call and then sent us an email. It was a client of ours that was on vacation in the Netherlands that got her eyebrow pierced. And I guess she had a climbing accident where her piercing, she fell, and I guess the piercing got caught on something, and it didn't come all the way out, but I guess it was the eyebrow piercing, the bead actually got pulled in, so she had to actually push it out, and we recommended that she retire it just due to all the trauma.
It looked rough.
But yeah, even then, it didn't
rip all the way out. Yeah. Yep. Now I think of a movie scene in the end of the movie Strangeland, which someday I want to do a watch party with you guys. I'm going to put this out there right now. We got to figure out how we can all watch this together. It's an amazing movie. But towards the end, there's a scene where someone gets their septum piercing ripped out, and it's like a double zero gauge in their septum, and it's just like they just go like this and it comes out. It's things like that. It's movie magic that makes things seem like that could happen. I don't think that's ever even possible. Like, Nova, your opinion, could that scene even happen?
Probably not. I think it's more a horror movie kind of thing.
Exactly. So there, maybe earlobes, if it's pierced thin enough, people say their piercing got ripped out. I bet their piercings got pulled through, not ripped through the bottom, got pulled through. And the people who have the slits in their ears because they wore heavy earrings and it slowly slit until it did come all the way through, but
either that or it was already on its way out.
Exactly. So there's a very long answer giving you the same answer over and over and over again. I don't think it happens.
That's awesome.
If you think it does, let me know in the comments. Let me know if it got ripped all the way through or if it just got pulled through.
Yes. We want to know. Easy Being Green 84 says, I got my nipples pierced a week and a half ago. It didn't hurt very much at all. So glad I did it. I work with animals, and I'm healing up well so far. So that's definitely something to watch out for.
Keep those little claws away from that thing.
Yes, it's something that a lot of people don't take into account. We see pets, dander, and we see pets have a lot of negative impact on freshly healed piercings, mostly like
more positive for the overall, but negative for the piercings.
We are pro pet here.
We are.
But it is something to keep in mind for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Congratulations on your piercing.
Yeah, congratulations. Water Witch 333 says, I got a lorem. What are your thoughts? I got it on Saturday. I guess on lorums in general.
Cooler in my book.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, so a lorem piercing, for those of you who don't know, is where the penis starts meeting the scrotum right here. It's right at that in-between spot right there. So it's called a low frenum, almost like a scrotum, so lorem. So super cool piercing. They generally heal really, really nicely. Yeah, bonus points for you.
Heck yeah, that'll probably be my next genital piercing.
Yeah?
Whenever I decide to get one again.
Cool.
I don't really have any plans on it right now, but someday.
We'll get you next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, I say that right now. It's like I'm always like, I don't have plans to get a bridge piercing, but maybe. And then it's
Hey,
like,
remember, Nova, remember when you said, well, the room's all set up. You ready to go?
Yep. Nerdy makeup artist says, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? You remind me of Uncle Iroh. Let me just say, Scott, that is the greatest compliment ever. The Dragon of the West himself. Uncle Iroh, to give you some context, is like he's the wise uncle to a kind of hot-headed nephew who's on a quest for revenge, and he leads him back through wisdom, but also he's a total badass and probably my favorite character in that show. So
amazing.
Quite
Thank
a compliment.
you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Scott is the dragon of piercing, the dragon of Las Vegas. There you go. Let's see. Anastasia says, curious if you know or have heard of Noah at Evolution. He's a great piercer. Anyway, he did my eyebrow, and I've had gnarly bruising for the past week. Yes, we do. It's Noah.
Yes.
I believe that's Noah Babcock,
Babcock,
right?
absolutely. Yep.
Yep. He also owns a company called Interstellar.
And we have
that
his
does
jewelry in our shop, so
Yep.
yeah.
We do carry it, and I'm actually planning on putting some of his jewelry in my bridge once it is fully healed. I'm really stoked about it. Yeah, Noah's awesome.
As far as the bruising, totally normal. Nothing to worry about. There's a ton of capillaries and little vessels in that area. And when we do the piercing, it just kind of spreads around. It's like when people get a black eye, like from getting hit, because it breaks those capillaries. Well, the needle can break it the same way, and it's the same effect. It just isn't very painful. So it will go away with time. I'm guessing it's probably more on the eyelid. It's like you almost have more eyeshadow on. It's all the general look. But yeah, it does happen. And yes, we know Noah.
It's true. Taco Cat is a palindrome says, hi, Scott. What would you use to stretch a doth piercing? One of my doths is currently at 16 gauge, and I want to stretch to 14 gauge, maybe bigger. Any dead stretching plugs would be too straight to use in a doth.
I don't think you're going to be able to go up to the 14 unless you had something with a taper on it.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure because the doth doesn't get pulled or moved around.
Yep.
So I'm guessing is not going to just fall into place. So you're going to need someone have like a 14 gauge taper, which normally are straight, but I would put a curve on there. Otherwise it's going to completely distort the ear trying to get it in there. So a curved 14 gauge taper, put it in for, or stretch it with that. Hopefully it doesn't hurt. If it hurts too much, stop because you're not ready for it. Put a ring in there, and it's probably going to be, I would guess, 4 to 6 months minimum before you even want to think about going to a 12.
Probably
Minimum.
slow.
It's about one of the slowest ones you can think of. I know Luis Garcia has, what does he have, 4 gauge in his
Yeah, I'm
stuff?
pretty sure. They're huge. Let
The
me see if I can
giant
find a
gold
picture.
clickers. It's so
rad.
cool. So cool. But it's such a slow process. And yeah, I don't know then. Like, I wonder if he had his originally pierced smaller, or if they were pierced bigger and he stretched up from there. I think I just whistled a little bit on accident.
I'm trying to get a good angle of his face.
Yeah. So, yeah, super excited. We got APP coming up, Association of Professional Piercers, here in sunny Las Vegas. It's where all the piercers, a lot of the great piercers of the world gather here. We take a bunch of classes. We learn about the new jewelry styles, the new gems, different aftercares, new products. We take technique classes. You name it. We're doing everything we can to become a better piercer. And that's why our shop closes down for about a week. It's all for the betterment of everyone here, especially in Las Vegas. We need more.
Absolutely.
We need more better piercers here in Las Vegas.
Yes, we do.
And if you haven't, make sure you hit that like and subscribe too.
It helps us out a lot.
Do it.
Bruh, you for real says he's back. Yes.
Glad to have you here too.
Yes, absolutely. Denise says, hello, Scott. I have a question. Are vertical industrial piercings hard to heal?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me think about it. Yes. The reason I'm saying that is because the vertical. Let me pull up my ear. So the vertical industrial, we're doing one that's going to go through the top up here, and then it generally comes through the inside of the conch here. Now this barbell, I think on average is probably going to be between 2 inches, 2.5 inches. So that's a long barbell, and there's a lot of movement which can flop back and forth. So as soon as your ear twists a little bit, you sleep on it, it does that, it's being distorted, and it's going to take longer to heal. So expect a minimum of a year-long healing process. I've never had the vertical industrial. I've just had the normal scaffold industrial. Yeah, it's just going to take longer. Just be patient.
Yep. And make sure you go to for that one. Make sure you're
piercer.
going to a good experienced piercer who has done them before. Ideally, that they can show you healed pictures.
It's also very anatomy dependent. This ear right here has no ridge on the top, and so trying to go through the top of that is not going to work very well. Also, the conch would be very shallow in here, so might not be able to fit it in there, or the root could be too far sticking out. There's a lot of variables, so don't force something that isn't supposed to happen.
Absolutely. Worst comes to worst, you can always do chains. You can do like a hidden helix and then a conch piercing and chain them together, maybe.
Why haven't I seen more vertical chains?
I don't know. That's a
There
great
you go,
question.
people. Something new.
All right, no, I dibs. Dibs. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I mean,
I'm
check
just
this
kidding.
out. Check this out. 3 vertical piercings on the top. People like to do those spikes sometimes up
Yeah.
there. But then you also have like 3 chains going down, maybe connecting to one lower conch piercing. So you got the 3 chains, the spikes.
Yeah, I have a very high it's a high forward helix that Kelsey did, and I want to do the hidden helix, so maybe the 2 of those down into the conch like a Y would be sick.
Yeah. Yes.
I've been saying I want to do chains, but everybody's doing chains now, so I want something cool. So maybe something like that. That'd be fun.
You could even form a chain trident where the center you had the little circle and chain, and the one going down. And
That would rule extremely hard. Extremely hard. All right, let's see.
wow. Okay. Got me thinking. I love that.
Me too. Let's see. Drowning Gracefully says, got both of my nostrils pierced as my first piercing, and I never realized how much I subconsciously wiggle or touch my nose every day. Wearing glasses has been an adventure, I bet.
For real. It's unbelievable. I had my head tattooed. I got down in my car right after my tattoo appointment, smacked my head on the top of the car. I'm like, how often do I hit my head? And it's the same thing. It's like you don't realize how much you touch your nose, how much things get caught on there. You're going to see as days and days go on. It's just like, this is ridiculous. You hit these things on everything. You want to see the weirdest one? Get your tongue pierced.
Oh, yeah.
And start trying to talk. You're like, oh my God, I can't even say a word, And then eventually, after a while, you get used to it. Our body adapts, so you will get used to it. But you are not wrong. You don't realize until after you get something pierced how much you bump, hit, or touch that area.
Awesome. Alrighty, let's see here. Bruh, you for real says, Scott, I have a burning question.
Sure.
Do you have any plans to make more piercings gone wrong reaction videos? They are so entertaining.
I think so. I haven't done those in a while, and we'll add it to the list because those are kind of fun ones to do. They're just like you just get the cycle, and yeah, for sure. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. My playlist, Piercings Gone Wrong. They're pretty bad. Some of them are pretty bad.
It's true.
Yeah, more to come.
Yes, more to come. Slewy Bay says, finally made it to a live stream. Your channel is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. Yeah, we try to do these slightly later ones so that way we can sort of get more of a variety of people in there. We just get sick of those other people in the earlier afternoons. Just kidding. We love everybody, and
Yes,
the
we
more
do.
the merrier.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Let's see. Nick says, I got
Someone's
my...
going to twist my words there and totally lose my... Yeah.
Right? They're going to crop it down to just that part. Nick says, I got my first piercing in November. I now have 14 and have more planned out for the future. That's a lot.
Slow down.
I'm going to suggest you slow down because the more you have and the more you're trying to heal at once, the worse all of them are going to go. So make sure you
your
are
immune
able to
system
heal all of those.
will catch up to you and you'll get sick. Piercings are more likely to have bumps. You're more likely to have rejection. The list goes on and on. Now, congratulations on all your piercings. I bet they look amazing. But keep that in mind. You don't want to have more than like 4 to 5 healing on your body max. That includes tattoos too. So your body can only take so much. We can't deplete our immune system so much.
But we do appreciate the enthusiasm.
Absolutely. I hear you. And you know what? This is experience talking because I've done it to myself so many times. Like, oh, I need one of these. I need one of these. I need one of these. And all of a sudden I'm out for 2 weeks. All my piercings are acting up and I'm sick as a dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't make the same mistake we did.
Yep.
Amanda Tucker says hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. I believe it's Zulima. Said, what's up, Scott? I got to get work by Steve Truitt yesterday, and I told him I appreciated coming on your channel.
Wonderful.
Or him coming on your channel. I hope you guys are able to do more someday.
I hope so, too. At APP, he's probably going to be here, and I don't know. It'd be really fun to see if we can do a couple more of those body mod Whole Truth. It'd be really easy to have him come by. I'll actually get a hold of him. That's a great call because it's coming up real soon. If I don't do that, he's going to book up, so.
Absolutely.
We'll do what we can for you. Steve Truitt's an old friend of mine, and he's so knowledgeable, and he's super fun, too. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Soapy Ghosty says, seeing Scott soon. We're excited. We shall see you soon.
Yes.
Hopefully you mean in the shop. Andy Leach says, I've had a bridge piercing for 2 years. Some days it sits perfectly, and the others it squints horizontally. In general, it behaves itself, but why is this? That's interesting. To me, it sounds like maybe swelling.
I think I go through the same thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know. I feel like some days my bridge is slightly more swollen, and when it's more swollen is when it sits straighter. Sometimes I feel like I have extra bar sticking out, and the weight of the bead kind of pulls it down that way. So it could be just because the weight and like if it's not perfectly tight. Mine was never comfortable tight. I had to have just a little tiny bit of room. Can you kind of zoom in here on the front of mine?
Sure. I think.
Center that camera, yeah. Because like I don't know if I push on a little bit, you can see how it really does shift off to one side, and then it looks crooked. And I kind of squint, and sometimes it gets it back into the center. But yeah, I agree. Sometimes it does look a little bit more crooked some days. I'm not sure why.
For me, there have been times where I've seen that, but I usually think that it's just like the angle that I'm looking at, or where, like you say, where the bar is. That is an interesting question, though. And
now mine's looking all super crooked.
Yeah, now I can't unsee it.
Stop looking at my bridge.
Yeah, right. Pirelli says, I once saw a girl getting lobes done at the mall with a gun. They did one, and she cried hysterically and wouldn't let them do the other. I left after 10 minutes of her not letting them do the other. I don't know if she ever got the lobe done.
Sometimes that happens. I mean,
True.
Even with piercing needles, we pierce sometimes as young as 5 years old with, we do a consultation the day before and we try to make it as easy as possible. But sometimes people leave with only one. But if you get pierced with a piercing gun, those things rip and tear their way through. They hurt so much more, and they are way more likely to not get the second one done with a piercing gun than they are with a needle. I think more people, we can get people through with the needle. More gentle, it's more comfortable. You're not surrounded by a crowd of people. I mean, no offense, but if you didn't know the person, it's like having a bunch of random strangers in the piercing room. If you go to a professional piercer, you're by yourself and there's a little less stress. I'm not saying you cause the stress. It's the environment, So it's an easier situation done with a gun, and it's way safer. At least we're not giving people hepatitis.
Absolutely.
It can happen.
Yes, it can. Let's see.
I'm having a bad mustache day, and for those of you who don't know what that means your mustache goes up your nose more than it's supposed to go down.
That's funny.
Oh, I hate it.
It happens for me. A bad mustache day is when I can't get it out of my mouth.
Oh, I just trimmed mine up. It was all in my mouth earlier.
Yeah, same. Let's see.
You're welcome.
Right. Hannah Lara says, hello from Mexico. Thank you so much for all of your suggestions.
Yes, you are very, very welcome. That's what we're here to do. Try to make your piercing journey as easy and smooth as possible.
Absolutely. Spooky Sweetheart says, how do you take out your nose piercing? And I would ask, which one? I imagine probably
good question.
I would guess the plugs are probably what they're asking about.
The plugs, they're kind of like a top hat. So the top of it is nice and flat, and then it goes in. So there's a little bevel, and it's slightly smaller on the inside. And as the plug goes through, there's a little groove on the inside where I put a rubber band or an O-ring on there. So I put the plug in, and there's a tight rubber band pinching on the inside, holding it in place. So to get it undone, I just kind of reach in my nose, pull the O-ring off, and I should be able to kind of lightly slide it out. Yep.
Easy peasy. Psycho Dude says, hey, Scott, what's the largest gauge seam ring you can bend by hand? That's a good question.
Not it.
Yeah, none. Nah.
You almost have to include the diameter too, because I had someone come in one time with fully annealed 12 gauge 5/16 rings, and they wanted 3 of them put in their lip, and they were nice and tight around their lip. And that was one of the scariest things I ever had to do, with like 2 brass jaw pliers just shaking, trying to bend these fully annealed 12 gauge 5/16. It's a small diameter, way too thick. If you had a larger diameter with that 12 gauge, I could have done it by hand.
Yep.
You know, so that's kind of the situation. The biggest seam
also,
ring
what material
would probably be an 8 gauge, I think. A large 8 gauge niobium ring I could probably bend by hand, but it would have to be at least 3/4 of an inch. I just probably threw a bunch of numbers at you and like, what is he talking about? A big, thick ring only made out of niobium because it's way softer.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you might struggle with a titanium.
Yeah, I've had titanium rings that are like 3/8 of an inch, and I can't bend them by hand at all.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can. If they can, I fear them.
Props to you.
Yeah, I fear them. Echo Sedaris, that's a cool name, says, is it best to get more than one opinion on anatomy-dependent piercings?
It depends on your piercer. I mean, like, how trustworthy is your piercer? Have they only been doing it for a couple years? And, you know, have you had good track record with them in the past? And it also depends on the piercing you're talking about. If you come in and say, you know, I want to get my belly button pierced, and I said, no, you cannot pierce your belly button because you only have an outie, and that's a very dangerous thing to do because we could send you into septic shock and all these problems, and you're going to go, I'm going to go get a second opinion. And it's like, that's different. Now, for instance, if someone came in and said, I want to get an eyebrow piercing, and I was like, the skin's pretty tight, your bone's pretty close to the front, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing it, that's more likely to go get a second opinion on. But health and safety first. But most of the time, it's about rejection rate. You know, it's just a lot of times the piercing's not appropriate and it can cause rejection. Also, keep in mind, if you go to some piercers, they're commission-based, and they only make money by the piercings they do. So there are some piercers where everyone's got the right anatomy.
It's true.
Yeah, so.
Unfortunate, but true.
Unfortunate. And that means you're going to end up with a huge scar. You won't be able to heal the piercing up, and it's just going to be a nightmare for a long, long time. So just go to a reliable piercer. And if you want a second opinion, do your homework and go to another reliable piercer, not just so-and-so on the block.
Absolutely. We always support second opinions, generally.
We do.
So.
But you got to be careful where you go, because there's going to definitely be conflicting, you know.
Yeah, it's true. If you, for example, go to one very high-quality shop and one lower-quality shop, you're probably going to get 2 answers.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely make sure that the shops that you're getting second opinions from are of the same caliber.
Yep. And think about this. If someone turns you away because you don't have the right anatomy for a navel piercing, we're turning you away from money. You know? So that's another thing to keep in mind. If we could do it, we'd totally want to do it.
Absolutely.
Generally, I would think.
Yeah, truly. MJ is talking about piercings. He says, the Tiger King eyebrow piercing skin was thin. Man, that thing wasn't just thin. That was barely hanging on.
I never saw the show, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, look at that puppy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even on his eyebrow.
The first one, like, yeah, a tiger ripped out my eyebrow ring. And it's like, you wouldn't even feel that thing get ripped out.
Yeah, that isn't really an eyebrow piercing. That is more of a
skin tag.
Surface piercing with a circular barbell somehow.
I'm hanging out as well as Joe Exotic's eyebrow ring. Not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
It's true. That's funny. Acidic Mushrooms says, "Hey Scott, I'm just curious if you think you might make any more videos reacting to your old piercings. Your body suspension video really inspired me to get into the whole piercing scene and culture."
Thank you. I appreciate that. That one didn't get a lot of views, and I don't really have a whole lot of other VHS tapes from back in the day that I can kind of go over and review. One thing I do kind of have on the agenda is I do want to do like an overview of all the piercings I've had in the past, and maybe all the tattoos, kind of like a tattoo tour type thing, because it's quite a crazy journey. I mean, like last time I counted, I think I was well over 400 piercings, probably 450, I think. That's
Amazing.
not play piercings. That's piercings with jewelry in them.
That rules so hard.
Yeah, it's I've been pierced so much, so it'd be fun to have like a nice little list here and little check marks of how many times I've had it and the dates and kind of, yeah. That's how I've become such the piercer I am today, is because I've been around the block so many times. I've experienced all these problems. I've experienced all the pain. I've experienced fresh piercings, going through scar tissue, you name it, but never had anything ripped out.
There you go. That says something for sure. Bread Boy 2013. I don't know why that cracks me up so much, but Bread Boy 2013 asks, "Love your videos. Thank you for all your content." Thank
Absolutely.
you, Bread Boy.
Thanks for being here, man.
Miss J says, "Hi Scott."
Hi, Miss J.
Toria Lorien, I think, says, "Hi Scott. First time catching a live stream. Thanks so much for coming to hang."
Welcome, and we love having you here. Tell your friends, tell everyone to come on in and add to the conversation. Love
Yes.
doing these things.
We appreciate it. Megan Clements says, "I have a 10-month-old navel piercing that was pierced by John Johnson behind an existing piercing scar.
Okay.
Suddenly became irritated out of the blue, bleeding and oozing whitish yellow fluid."
Out of the new piercing or the scar in front of it would be my question. So I'm wondering if it's rejecting into the old scar. That's what they said, right? They got pierced by John Johnson.
Behind an existing
Behind
piercing
an
scar, yep.
existing piercing, which I'm guessing, yeah. So if it's rejecting out again, it could start showing signs through it that way. Getting a good irritation, leaning up against the counter, pants rubbing up against it, gone swimming recently when you probably maybe shouldn't have. There's a lot of variables. You just got to map it out and figure out, why is it that irritated? Is it from physical irritation, or is it just rejecting out? So, but it might be worth going back and talking to your piercer and seeing if you can figure out what's going on. But yeah, wound wash spray. Hopefully you're not doing bad aftercare like peroxide, alcohol, Neosporin. All those products will cause problems.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, treat it like a new piercing and definitely check in.
Yeah.
Check in with your piercer.
We want to know about these problems you're having. We don't like seeing them, but we want to know, and we want to be able to help you get you back to normal again.
Absolutely. Rubug says, "Hi, sorry if it's a silly question." Not a silly question.
Bring it.
Why does nostril jewelry have to be thinner than what is common with other piercings? Sending love.
That is a very, very good question. A lot of times nostril piercings are going to be 20 gauge. My shop, we only do 18 gauge. I won't go thinner than 18 because anything thinner, I see more bumps, more problems, less jewelry options. But typically for a cartilage in an ear, you're going to find most people do at least a minimum of 16 gauge. I think the main reason why is your ear has a lot more movement, a lot of twisting and contorting, and if you're sleeping on it, and if you're twisting that real thin wire, you're more prone to the bumps. Now, your nose doesn't really shift or move around as much, so you're less likely to get the bumps. Now, if you get the bumps on your nose, it's from catching a towel, shirt, or anything like that on. But the thing is that would happen with a 16 gauge or a 14 gauge if you got caught on a towel too. But it's just more about the sleeping on it, the twisting and contorting. I will also do 18 gauge on the forward helix too. I feel like if you downsize, it's generally not too problematic because it's hard to actually lay on that actual spot when you're actually sleeping. It does happen a little bit. That's why it's important to downsize in the future. But I think that's the main reason. I don't really have a good solid reason. I mean, people can heal up a 22 gauge in the most random spot in their body where there's no ridge in the middle of their stomach or something. And it's just like, why won't you do it? This healed up fine. And it's like, it's not the norm.
Yep.
But That's the general reason, is more for preventing problems and irritations.
Yep.
You agree with that, Nova?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I always like to say sometimes things heal in spite of what we do and not because of what we do. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a situation like that.
Yep. But we're just, it's general safety sizes and what we found works best over our short career. Keep in mind,
Yes.
body piercing has been around since the beginning of time, but
Yep.
it's only a newer thing, like since the mid to late 70s, you know,
Yep.
and it wasn't until the early 90s when things really started picking up, where we're starting to understand the sizes and the gauges and the best needles to use and the best jewelry style to use, the best aftercares. I've been doing it 30 years, and the amount of changes are insane from, you name it, everything. Every aspect of this industry has changed since I've started. Now we're still wearing gloves.
There you go. Still sterilizing jewelry.
Yes.
Eduardo Cano says, "Hi Scott, how long did you wait until you changed your anti-eyebrow piercing jewelry? I'm wondering if maybe he means bridge."
Could be. Because an actual anti-eyebrow is like the skin on the underside here.
Yep.
These ones, my regular eyebrows, which are in a little further than normal, are pretty much the original jewelry. I had them pierced with these gold bars. I had a tough time healing them up, and then I changed to titanium because of the weight issues. Once I healed them up from the titanium, I just put the gold bar back in. If you're talking about the bridge, I think I downsized my bridge after maybe a couple months. Sometimes you can downsize as soon as a month, depending on how much is actually sticking out, if that's the case. But it does minimize a lot of problems getting appropriate size jewelry in there. So if it's way too long and it's been over a month, look into downsizing.
Yes, it does. I think I'm about ready to swap over to the ring in my bridge. It's feeling
Cool.
healed amazingly.
Cool. How are we doing for time?
We're good. We just hit an hour. So.
Okay, right on. Got another hour to go.
Yes. Let's see. Joshua Williams says, "Hey Scott, I went to get a forward helix. Well, this is all right. Hold on. I went to get a forward helix to Rook to Doth Industrial a while back. The piercer I saw said that because it was a custom bend, I should do the helix and Rook separately first, and then at a later point connect them up and add the Doth. Does that sound right? The shop closed down a few weeks later, so I have been left with just the helix and the Rook."
Bummer, dude.
Yes.
Personally, I would have tried to attack getting all three at the same time. It's not easy to do, and you're going to be dealing with problems. It's probably easier the route you're going. If you search around, you can find the right piercer to make that work for you. You got to find someone who's a little bit older, who's been doing this a while, because custom bending jewelry like that is not an easy thing to do, but us dinosaurs still exist.
It's true. Yeah, like I say, I would absolutely recommend you go to somebody very, very well experienced in that.
Because, like, if you bend it to fit through those two and then go through the new one, if it's off a little bit, it's going to cause all kinds of problems back to the original two, along with the new one. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know that I've ever seen a forward helix to Rook to Doth Industrial. That's pretty cool, though.
I did it with an orbital one time.
Yeah, that's kind of how
I did
I'm
a
thinking
circular
of it.
barbell through the forward helix to Rook to Doth.
That's mentally, that's what I saw.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's cool.
Very cool.
They are very cool. Sarah Wardle says, "There's a chain of shops here in the UK, which I think is similar to Hot Topic, that claims Doths cure migraines and are charging around $200 USD per piercing with externally threaded jewelry." What a mess.
Making money off lies. So sad. It really doesn't do anything. Placebo is the only reason why it would cure any migraine. So you're charging more for a piercing that has, it's the same service. You know, it doesn't make sense. It's like, I've never understood people like, well, a helix piercing costs more than an eyebrow because it's more difficult to do. And it's like, to a certain degree, if you're using more tools, more this, I understand marking things up. You know, genital piercings is more intimate. It's more, a little bit more intense, a little bit more money, you know, for the piercing fee. But as far as that goes, it's $200. No,
Crazy.
they suck.
It makes me wonder about the laws because I know here if piercers claim that it cures migraines, then that makes it a medical procedure and therefore illegal for them to do because they would be practicing medicine without a license. So I would maybe check to see if there are any laws like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Sketchy.
Super sketchy. I mean, if someone's willing to do that, I can tell you right now they're not a good shop, and you wouldn't want to be there anyways. So
Agreed.
it's weird. Sometimes people have really negative things about them. Some people are haters or racist or whatever it might be. And the thing is like, it sucks it's that way, but you got to look at the positive sometimes. Like, at least I know who the people are that I'm trying to avoid.
Yes.
You don't want to go to a shop like that. They're telling you we're not the right shop.
Yeah, that's a great point right there.
Yep.
Bread Boy asks, what is considered a good anatomy for a bridge piercing?
Not too much bone right underneath there. The thing is when you press down here, you should have a little bit of a layer of tissue and almost fatty tissue. Some people, it's just like instant bone, instant skull, and that's going to raise the piercing out and cause the rejection to happen almost immediately. You need to have quite a bit of loose tissue, not even loose tissue, but enough tissue to where it's not pressing up against the bone.
Absolutely.
It's kind of hard to judge by yourself.
Yep.
Because like if you just press down, it feels like it's right there, but you almost have to talk to a piercer. Sorry.
It's tough. Yep. Gritsu says, speaking of anatomy, I literally cannot get an industrial at all. I barely have any lip to my ear.
You can get an industrial. It's just called a floating industrial.
Yes.
Nova, do you want to pull these up? All right. So floating industrial means custom bending the bar. And instead of going through the ridges off the sides, you're going straight through to the back. So it's almost like here's one that's like a half floating where there's a ridge on the front and we just like angled it and went straight to the back. The one where it looks like it's a barbell's floating right in the middle, in that one, that's the best example of one because those two right angles and it looks like the bar is going where the industrial would be, but it goes back instead of in the front. So super cool. You can put like little hinges on there. You get a lot of other options as far as that goes. There's a float. Yeah, you can actually see the hinges on that one. See how they're like two labrettes up and down and you just click that barbell into place. Super, super rad.
Yeah, they are cool.
There, if you scroll down a little bit more, you can see the bent one. Like right there, yeah, by Infinite. You can see how that has the bend going straight through to the back instead of... So that person didn't have the right anatomy, and sometimes you can find someone to pierce it to make it happen for you. So It's not the end of the world, it's just a different one.
Yep, definitely make sure to go to a good piercer for that one.
Yep.
Let's see. Acidic Mushroom said vertical chain actually sounds badass AF. I agree.
I concur.
Yeah, we're about to do that. MJ says the chains LOL reminds me of Hellraiser movies with the chains hooked on the victim. I love that.
And wearing hooks off the ends and just,
believe it or
caught
not,
on everything, but yeah.
Believe it or not, Hellraiser is popular among piercers.
Pinhead.
Yes, exactly.
Syllabites.
Crow says, hello, Scott.
What's up, Crow?
How's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Not too bad. Brianna Sykes asked if anyone else's audio cut out, and somebody else responded no. I do know we have been having some audio issues the last few so far. I think it's been okay. But if you guys could give us a thumbs up that everything's
It seems like
A-okay.
we've been doing good so far, but we wouldn't be surprised if we did.
Yeah, the moment I say that, of course, it's going to cut out. So.
Of course. By audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Still going. Testing.
Shane K says, looking to get my first piercing soon, both lobes and possibly a nose piercing.
Yeah.
Would all three be too much at once? If I had my nose pierced and changed my mind, how long would I have before it left a scar?
It's different for every single person, but I mean, I give it a good week or two before like it starts leaving a really big scar. If you got a piercing, you took it out within a day or two, it's not going to leave much at all. But like anything, if you had a little cut on your hand or whatever and you constantly picked at the scab, it's going to leave a bigger scar, so you can't pick at it. And then even if it did leave a little bit of a scar, there's things out there called Mederma or some sort of scar tissue remover where you could rub that into the piercing and that will take any discoloration and soften up any of that hardened scar tissue. So there's ways to go around it. But yeah, generally the first couple days to week or so, if you take it out, it's pretty minimal.
Yep. Let's see. Jessica. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a few people.
Don't do that.
Pirelli said, Nova, make your forward helix and hidden helix, the Y you mentioned, into a flux capacitor. That's an idea.
Flux capacitor ear. I love that.
Yeah, me too. Jessica asks, "Hey Scott, glad to catch another stream. I got a second nostril piercing to match an existing one on the other side, and and I'm sorry, and my nose is uneven. How do you deal with the inevitable lack of symmetry? I've been trying to think of my matching piercings the way girls think of eyebrows, sisters, not twins.
100%.
But sometimes I get in my head about how asymmetrical they look."
So there's a possibility it may be too asymmetrical and they might need to be re-pierced if one seems a little too high or a little too low. Now, when you're looking in the mirror, a lot of us look at our piercings and they look only at our nose, because like, oh, it looks a little higher on this nostril. But if you look at your face and your nose at the same time, you're going to see how nothing's totally symmetrical that way. I line up nostril piercings more times with eyes than I do the bottom of the nostrils.
Yeah, me too.
So, like looking in the mirror, like these should be level and these should be level and these, like, I don't know if you're an artist or not, but when you draw faces and things like that, you draw the circle and you draw the horizontal line for the eyes, horizontal for the nose, horizontal for the, and that's kind of the line work I generally look at because people see it as a whole, not just your nose. We're our own worst critical judges as far as all these things go.
True.
So, if you find a friend you trust, ask them. Say, honestly, like when you first look at this, does this look crooked or is it just me, or,
And if you don't want to re-pierce it, there is also the option of trying some different jewelry. I've, and maybe you'll disagree with me on this one, Scott, but I feel like in the past, I have had people that have had uneven nostril piercings, or I know people with them, and sometimes larger jewelry actually can make it seem less asymmetrical.
Okay.
I think sometimes depending on the jewelry, it can make it seem more asymmetrical, but when you have something that is like really big in there, like you have right now, I mean, it doesn't have to be that big necessarily, but because it takes up more space, it looks more symmetrical. So
it also can cause problems too, because if it goes down to the edge of the nose and the other one's higher up on the edge, you're going to see more skin on one, which could kind of throw it off.
that could be true.
So another thing too is like sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, they look level, but it doesn't look right. If you put your head down and look up, you can see how far back this way it goes, as well as level, it has to be level this way and level this way. There's two different angles you need to hit. And a lot of times when we put our head down and look up, sometimes that's it. One's back too far or up too far. And there again, it's a quick re-pierce can sometimes fix it. If it's a quick re-pierce and easily fix it for you to be happy for the rest of your life, it's totally worth doing.
Yes, it is. For sure.
But don't be too critical. No one has a perfectly symmetrical face. No one has perfectly symmetrical piercings. It's just, is it close enough? That's the question.
Yep. Megan Clements chimed in, talking about the navel piercing.
Yes.
She did say, "I wear mostly crop tops and low-rise jean shorts. Did not recently snag it unless I did something I was unaware of in my sleep. I've been doing saltwater soaks, but only the crusties and the bump are not gone." She also said that I have no signs of rejection or migration. The piercing is still in the same spot it was the day I got pierced. The
Good.
bleeding is coming from the new piercing.
Okay. Be careful with your saltwater soaks. That is kind of more the old school way to go about it. I would suggest going to get a wound wash spray. Neomed is one of my personal favorites. This is wound wash, and this is pre-mixed salt water. Now, the thing is if you're mixing your own salt water for your sea salt water soaks, it has to be non-iodized sea salt, and it has to be the fine grain. And then I believe you're even supposed to measure by weight, not by volume, or is it, did I get that reversed? One of the two. But it's equivalent to like a quarter teaspoon of sea salt, which is barely a pinch per 8 ounces or 1 cup of water. So it has to be very precise. That's why I like this, because it's pre-mixed in a lab. Plus, this is sterile. The stuff you're mixing up in your cup is just going to be like normal tap water, filtered. It's not going to be as good. Your cup that you're soaking in isn't as clean and sterile as it should be. And all these things do make a big, big factor. Sounds like you're doing everything else right. I would guess it's probably the sea salt, or you're leaning up against the counter and you're bumping it on something you don't realize you are.
That definitely could be it. Or like you say, you may have, or maybe she snagged it in her sleep or something like that.
Little things, they really get you.
Yep. I would also wonder about jewelry, making sure your jewelry is very high quality. Sometimes when I've noticed when things are totally fine and then start to not be fine, sometimes there can be imperfections in the jewelry, maybe a little scratch or something that is
Was it John Johnson or Jack Johnson?
John Johnson.
Not sure if I was thinking it was Jack Johnson. I'm
Yeah,
not sure who
I'm-
John is. So.
I'm not familiar either.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Gritsu says or asks, have you ever had to reject piercing someone because they had too many done too soon? All the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Yep.
And usually some people are cool about it, but I will say that
Some people are not happy.
some people are not happy, and there have been a lot of instances where we've had clients that were like, no, we won't do it on you, and then they go somewhere else and get it done, and it goes wrong, and we have to pick up the pieces, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. Not that they went somewhere else, you know,
There's
obviously
plenty of good shops, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you want my advice, you come into me and I say, look, you're healing this, 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 and this. Plus, you're getting tattooed. You have too much to heal. No, I'm not doing whatever piercing on you. You know, and then they go get pierced at another shop, and then they come back a week later saying, all my piercings are red, and this is all like, what's going on? You know, and I'm like, oh, I see you now have a bridge piercing, or I see you have that. Like, oh yeah, I got it done at so and so. And it's like you won't listen to my advice, and you keep coming back for more advice. It's just a slap in the face to me.
agreed.
I want to help you. I do. And the reason we're saying no is for your own health and safety. And this proves it. But some people just keep repeating over and over.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it does happen all the time.
All the time. I know some lady just got real mad at Kelsey the other day over that. She got tattooed and then booked 2-3 piercing appointments like back to back or something
Yeah.
like that. And Kelsey turned her down, and she had a hissy fit. So none of that.
Well, it also says on the appointment book we do a max of 3 piercings in a day.
Yes, it does.
You just book 2 appointments now. You get all 6 in.
Yeah, right. D. Gutman says, hey, Scott, I was wondering if spider bite piercings can be done with a ring. Will it lessen the risk of dental damage?
No, not at all. I mean, no, it's not going to lessen the risk of dental damage. It's probably going to increase it. Number 2 is I wouldn't do a ring. You can heal it up. Yes, you can. It's going to be problematic. It's going to keep shifting because of the amount of movement to eventually where the 2 piercing spider bites are going to be at different angles. So I would highly suggest getting done with the stud, heal it up, and then you'd be able to downsize or change to a ring in the future if you want. But the ring is going to spin and rotate. I don't know. When I had my lips pierced and I had rings in there, I was way more likely to be biting down on them, playing with them,
Yep.
doing damage that way. Once you have downsized labrettes or those shorter posts and they're just pulling away from your teeth and your gums, it's hard to even get at to play with. So that is by far the better way to go about it. Don't get pierced with rings. Get the studs, downsize, and just be patient.
Yep.
Good question, though.
It is. Patience is a virtue when it comes to piercing. Whiskey James says, I want dimple piercings so badly, but all the piercers say no.
Yep.
Yes.
I say no, too. You say dimple piercings?
Yes. So I'm
Well,
not
if
sure
you're
if they
talking
mean
back
dahlias.
dimple, I mean, back dimple would definitely be like dermal anchors. They're legal here, so everyone should be saying no in Las Vegas. But like Nova said, you're probably talking about cheek piercings. You get the dimples. I personally don't do them. My other piercer, Kelsey, does. So book an appointment with us.
Yes.
Come to Vegas and have Kelsey do your dimples.
I will say
Problem solved.
Kelsey has drastically reduced the number of people that she does cheek piercings on.
Oh, really?
She has a list of criteria now and is requiring a short consultation before appointments because she's been noticing especially people, if you smoke, if you drink, whether it be nicotine
The amount
or
of problems.
vaping, there are so many problems. Dimple piercings / cheek piercings are arguably, I would say, the most difficult piercing to heal.
It's an elevator for like a year, just up and down,
Yep.
swollen and irritating, too short, too long, too all the above.
And even, I mean, Kelsey even, she took hers out recently, and she had said that even after 5 or 6 years of having them, they can still have issues. So
Done. Yeah.
yeah, be careful with that. Let's see. Crow says, I've been out for a while. Finally made it back to school to the live stream. Awesome.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we're happy to hear you.
Class is
Finally
in.
to a live stream. Nick, who
You're
is the
supposed to
one?
say, I don't feel tardy.
There you go. Nick, who had all the 14 piercings, I believe,
Yes.
said, "Luckily, I've got a good immune system. Knock on wood. I work in a freezer, so my body is used to adapting. Currently, I'm healing up nipples and third lobes. I won't be getting any more until they are healed."
Cool.
I think that last part is a good bet.
Wise
so.
choice, yeah. And you know what? Like sometimes if we're a little younger too, our immune system's a little bit stronger. We're just trying to prevent problems. So cool. Wise choice. Good move.
Yep.
Glad to
Slow
have you
and
aboard.
steady wins the race, my friend. Mm-hmm. Twists, Turns, and Tarot says, "Hello, Scott and Nova. I hope y'all are doing well. Glad I caught a live stream. Cheers to you too.
Cheers to everyone. To happy piercings.
Happy piercings." Hectic says, "I'm getting my nipples pierced on Saturday, and I'm so scared of the pain. I have my nostril, eyebrow, lip, and ear pierced. I was never scared about the pain, but this time I'm so scared."
You said nipples?
Yes.
Nipples are a scary one because we've all had like a real hard pinch or been bitten or, you know, that cruel cousin that just, you know, that sucks. Yes. So it's not that bad. It hurts, but it's tolerable. And it's so worth it. It's worth the fear you go through. Most people who get them done will say, yeah, it did hurt, but I thought it was going to be way worse.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah, you're going to feel something, but you'll be just fine.
It's true.
You got this.
Psycho Dude asks, any plans to make the previous live stream available to watch? For some reason, stream 75 is not listed. There are several missing, actually.
Yes. So we have recently brought on an editor, and we're in the process of trying that editor out. You can see how some of our old live streams we've moved to like a piercing show, or like the podcast, the piercing podcast, I think is what we're calling it. And we're trying to type out the written questions so it's easier to kind of monitor, see those things, trying to color correct things, get all the a new one hopefully should be coming out in the next day or two, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is get everyone here to be members so we can ask members questions in here and then turn it out to the general public where they can see all of the different questions and be able to search things. So,
Yep.
do you have anything to add to that, Nova?
No, not really. Like Scott said, the plan is that you'll have to be a free member to come in and hang out and ask the questions live, and then we'll get it all edited. But yeah, once we have the editor sorted out, then they'll be coming out pretty quick, hopefully.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
That's our plan. Is we're planning on being like maybe just a couple weeks behind. So, we do the live chat and then the next one comes out the next day or something like that. So.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Tim Mendeville says, "Hello, Scott."
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Hi, Tim. Rubug says, "Prince Albert piercing story is the only one I know." I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this a little bit. "Is the only one I know that have a back wound like that. Do you know of some other, or is it more like the names have always been there, if that makes sense?" A background like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I
There's no
misread that.
truth whatsoever to the whole background of the Prince Albert, where he was like supposedly trying to hide the bulge in his pants. To my understanding, Doug Malloy was a prankster. Okay. And what I mean by that is when the Gauntlet opened up in 1975, it was Doug Malloy, Fakir Mushafar, and Jim Ward. And the three of those people started the first piercing studio in America. And Doug Malloy was the funding of the whole procedure thing. He was a gay man, but I believe he was married, and this was his little venture to kind of get out of his, and he was friends with Jim Ward, who worked at a machine shop and made all the jewelry, and Fakir understood a lot of the piercing and the spirituality. So this is how all this has kind of happened here. And I believe that Doug Malloy connected people because he knew people from all over the world because he traveled so much. And I think he kind of made up stories of why things had their names and what they were. And so there's no real proof of the whole Prince Albert thing. I've just read articles about people talking about how he was kind of a prankster and might have made a lot of the stuff up. I don't know for sure. I do know that eventually I'd love to have Paul King on here for the podcast. He's kind of like the biggest historian of the body piercing, and I'd love to have a 2, maybe even 3-hour chat of just everything history body piercing. It'd be amazing if I can get him on here. So
He is also the piercer that pierced Alicia Silverstone's navel piercing in the Aerosmith video.
that is correct. That is correct. So yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yes.
So
Slewy Bay says, speaking of getting too many piercings in a short time span, I made the mistake of getting a vertical industrial and a tragus on the right ear and a tripled flat doth end forward helix on the left. Not my brightest idea.
it seemed like a good idea at the time, didn't it?
You're right.
Until you lay down at night and go, uh-oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Hopefully you're able to heal these up. A piercing pillow, donut pillow. Don't sleep on these things. If you start having a problem, you might even want to think about retiring some if they're too much of a problem. That's a lot. That's a lot.
For sure.
Garbage.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe that was a past endeavor.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I feel so bad for him right now. It's like, that's
a tough time.
Oh.
Acidic Mushrooms says, could we see the piercing setup of the gentleman behind the camera? Not on the live stream, but you can go back to some of the older live streams and see a picture of me. I know we've talked about putting a camera in here, but I kind of like to just be the voice.
Are you on our website now?
Am I on our website?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Picture down to the bottom or not?
You can't really see it that well. I would say if you're truly that interested, I do have an Instagram that you can find via the shop Instagram page. And yeah, you can see my setup there. I have forward-facing nostrils, conch, bridge, earlobes, nipple.
Yep.
I think that's it as of right now.
Cool.
Yep, getting my high nostrils done again here.
Nova's awesome.
I try. We got a lot of positive stuff from. You mentioned the tour, the video tour.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they would really like to do that, which is great.
Okay, cool.
So we'll definitely do that. Pirelli is asking.
Hairs.
Yeah, there you go. Pirelli is asking, I saw on your site that you now allow piercings to be recorded for future videos, but only on certain days. I want to do this. Sounds fun. Heck yes.
I've been planning on doing this for a while. We're talking about doing Sunday is going to be YouTube day, so that way we can record the piercing, have a bunch of different camera shots, edit them down, and just have really cool piercing experiences. So if you're interested, stay tuned. We're going to start doing it on probably the next couple weeks, maybe a month from now. We should be starting it. We got all the cameras figured out. We just got to figure out how to schedule the stuff now.
Yep.
It's not one problem, it's another.
Yeah, which we are working our way through.
Yep.
Joshua Williams asks, hey, I have a stacked septum, a 16 gauge, a 14 gauge, a 12 gauge, and 10 gauge, all clickers. My problem is that the hinges aren't exactly smooth on the larger ones, and they chew up the piercing hole as they rotate and move around. Do you have any suggestions to make this better?
No. I'm really trying to think of how you could fix that, and I don't. I mean, because all you could really do is maybe do smaller jewelry, like a whole bunch more smaller clickers, and so you don't have as many of the bigger ones. I might be sending you on a wild goose hunt here. Is that the right term? I think so.
Goose chase.
Goose chase. So there are segment rings, and I know there's certain companies that sell segment rings in the larger sizes. I used to wear those in my septum. They're a pain in the butt to get in and out, and you need tools to do this. But I find that there's probably less of a seam or less of a gap in a segment ring. For instance, like the black one there, you can see how, that right there. You see how the segment actually completely comes out. And it looks, mostly like a clicker when it's done. There, if you go to the bottom left, the silver one, high polish segment, yeah. See, there, it doesn't seem like there's much of a gap in there. But the ones to the right don't seem like they do either. But like I said, I used to wear a 2 gauge. There you go. See the big gauge ones right in the middle of the bottom now, Nova? eBay. More to the side, middle. One more. There we go. See, those don't look like they have too big of gaps. So that might be the better answer for you. I'm not 100% sure. That's the best I can do for you. That or do more smaller ones.
Yeah, I was also thinking maybe seam rings would be better, but there is
Not
still
a large gauge.
Yeah, there are still
Yeah, keep
sometimes
your
the seam.
8 gauge or 10 gauge seam rings away from me.
Yeah, agreed. I would also ask, is all of the jewelry that you have in your septum high quality? Because
Yes.
if it's like Amazon or Etsy jewelry, then the hinge might not be very high quality.
And that's what you'd be paying for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So good stuff is good stuff. Acidic Mushroom said, "Please make that video of your piercing journey. It'd be so awesome to see all the creative types of piercings you've had. It could give me some ideas."
Okay, cool. What to do that one, Nova?
Yes, that'd be fun. Echo asks, "I have a Helix healing from November, and I just got a tragus rook and belly button. Planning on getting my gestrum re-pierced in about a month. Is that a bad idea?"
Can you say that one more time?
Yes, Helix, tragus, rook, and belly button, all healing right now.
All on one ear?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But all healing on the same person. They said they got the Helix in November, so I imagine the other 3 are even newer than that.
Okay. And then they wanted to get what?
Vertical philtrum.
It kind of depends on how well the other piercings are, how well they're doing. If you have just a ton of crusties, you're just going to be adding fuel to the fire. So I would probably hold off a little bit until the other piercings seem mostly healed. Everyone heals at a different rate. I don't know if you have both your ears. If you have both your ears, that means you're sleeping on one side and there's going to be more problems. If you only have one side and you're not sleeping on it, maybe everything seems mostly healed up. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but use your gut instinct. Listen to it.
Yep.
Don't force your instinct. Listen to it.
Agreed. Luna de Blue says, "I have 17 piercings and I want more. I would like a septum, even though I don't have a sweet spot. A rook, helix, tragus, and a vertical labret." There you go.
Why don't you have a sweet spot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody has.
Everybody
sweet spot.
does.
So yeah, if you, I'm sorry to
Find a different
interrupt you, Scott.
piercers. Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually give your nose a little bit of a squeeze, like up and down. Maybe,
It's more towards the tip of your nose.
yeah.
So if you kind of go forward to the tip and kind of go up, you can almost touch your fingers, and sometimes you're separating the cartilage away from each other. So when I initially do a septum piercing, I stick my pinkies in there and feel how big the sweet spot is. I'm not looking for it. I know where it's at. It's just how much room do I have to work with. Sometimes it's slightly higher, sometimes it's a little bit lower, but it's up and towards the tip of your nose is where that sweet spot is best pierced. So
Yep, and if you squeeze it like up and down,
like this.
yes, yeah, I feel like that for me that's like a really easy way to feel the sweet spot, because like you can feel the hard cartilage, and then like the spot that squishes that's pretty close to the sweet
I
spot.
think all my jewelry's just started it.
I like to do that at least. Azrael said, "I want to be pierced by Nova." That is a possibility.
Come get pierced by Nova. I would if I were you. It's what all the cool kids are doing.
It's true. Yeah, I am piercing again, so feel free. I am booking by appointment on the Instagram page, not through our website. So feel free to DM us.
And you're going to get a really good deal if you do this in the next week or two. So definitely hit us
Yes.
up if you are in Vegas.
Sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Genevieve says, "My septum piercing stank for a few months, started and stopped out of nowhere. I watched your videos about adding vegetable oil to the ring to help reduce the smell, but never tried. Why does adding oil help? I absolutely love your content, and I would love to get pierced from you when I'm back on the West Coast. Saying hi from Cleveland, Ohio."
Cool.
You're not too far from my hometown, which is Pittsburgh, so give them a wave
Well, the
for
cool
me.
thing about us here is we're in Las Vegas, and it's a cool, cool city to visit. So if you're ever visiting in the future, you'll have the opportunity to come get pierced by me. Now, as far as the oil to cover, basically it's covering up the smell. The thing is the metal jewel you have in there, or whatever jewel you have, starts collecting dead skin cells, the oils from our body, shampoos, soaps, conditioners, all these things kind of sit there, and it kind of dies on there, and it gets a real funky, dead foot smell in a way. Is the easiest way to kind of, not dead foot, but bad foot. Dead foot would be terrible.
Dead skin?
Dead skin, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but anyways, it creates this layer of funk over the top of your jewelry. And you can clean it with soap and get it off a little bit, but you can't really get it out of the metal. So the easiest thing to do is take a different oil, which does smell pleasant. You put it over the top, and it's like masking it. It's like putting tape over the top of some old tape to make it look fresh and brand new. So that's the easiest way, and that's why that does work. You'd rather smell the olive oil or peanut oil or whatever it might be, vegetable oil, as opposed to the nasty feed oil.
Yep. Luna de Blue donated $2. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And said, my piercer said I don't have one. It's all solid. I think in reference to the sweet spot.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, I would maybe get a second opinion on
Yep.
that. I haven't come across anybody that doesn't have a sweet spot.
Correct.
Unless they have maybe a very badly broken nose or plastic surgery or
that was
something
my
along those
experience.
lines.
Yeah.
But you should have one.
And,
So-
a worst case scenario that you have the tiniest sweet spot in the world, you can still get pierced. And if they miss it and they hit the cartilage, you can still heal it up. It's just way rougher.
Just hurts a little bit.
So you still can have that septum piercing if you wanted to, but find a piercer who can find that sweet spot and someone more experienced, and that should work out better in your favor. I hate saying like find a different piercer because I don't know who your piercer is or what the true situation, but a second opinion.
Yep, a second
'Cause you
opinion.
should
always
have
helps.
one. Yeah.
MJ asks, is there such a thing as temperature or mood changing piercing jewelry? I don't think so. Unless you're talking, when you're saying temperature, unless you're talking about like annealed stuff or anodization, which to a degree has to do with temperature, but is more electric shock. But mood, definitely not.
Now the only exception is people wear mood rings.
Yep.
If you had that stone set inside a body piercing, like a navel or somewhere that was close enough to the body where it's going to get that heat, you could probably see a little bit there. But the metal's not going to change, and I can't think of any other material. That's not moonstone, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't think it
I
is.
thought mood rings were made of like some form of metal, to be honest.
Magic?
Yeah, yes.
No, I thought mood rings were the gem changes color on the inside compared to the heat or something.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. A hollow quartz or glass shell containing thermotropic liquid crystals.
Okay.
So they're actually liquid, and it sounds like it corresponds to changes in temperature.
So that would be it, is if they set something like that inside body jewelry. And I've never, ever, ever, ever seen that in body jewelry. It would be a brand new thing. The fact that there's liquid in there scares me a little bit, but it should stay.
It should,
I don't
as
know.
long as it's set well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Good question.
It is a good question.
I wish we had it too.
Yeah, me too. That sounds pretty cool.
Back in the day, we had hypercolor shirts. This is the early 90s, late 80s, where it's like, I don't remember how they did it, but wherever your body heated up, it changed color. So your shirt looked like tie-dye. It was funny because my brother's like a heater person. You know, the ones that just constantly radiate heat. The thing was always just one solid color.
That's me. That's funny. Bow Buns says, I have a dermal piercing. What are the signs of rejection in a dermal piercing under my left eye? What are the signs to look out for?
Number one is going to be the jewelry raising higher and higher and away from your skin. If it seems like when you first had it, it was sitting nice and flat against your skin, and now it's kind of like raising, and you can see underneath the gem, the body's pushing it out. Sometimes the piercing is going to sit up. So when you first had it, it's sitting flat against your face, and now all of a sudden you have one angle sitting up higher. And then the other thing is, like, sometimes it's very, very extreme. Can you type in rejecting dermal anchor?
Sure.
Nova. And you're going to see how sometimes the foot starts surfacing out in a completely different area. So you're going to see where the piercing is and then the foot coming out off to the side. I'm guessing you're going to see it right away. Oof. Rough page. Rough. There you go. See how the foot's kind of coming out right there? So that one's totally rejecting out. God, a lot of those are just rough.
This one.
Oh my God, that one's barely hanging on there. So yeah. So these are signs. That's a surface bar. That's a really bad project.
Yes, it is.
Dermal anchors, dermal anchors.
These are brutal.
Yeah, they are. You look through these and makes you not want to get anything.
Truly.
There you go. See the one on the Reddit in the far right? That one there. Now when you're looking at that, it looks like, yep. See how the scab's forming on the side? That's the foot slowly trying to work its way on out. So these are kind of signs that the piercing is rejecting out. Yep. Sad day when those things come out.
Yes, it is, but
Yep.
inevitably they will.
Yep. I've never seen a permanent one at this point. But 12, 13 years is the longest I think I've seen, which is a good run.
So Gene says, don't worry about trying to say my name, Nova. It's nonsense. So now, because you said that, I have to try and say it.
Bring it on. Let's see what you
I'm
got.
going to say, I think it's Gene Pasecki. And
Give us a thumbs up in
give me
the
a thumbs
comments
up.
if it's right. Pasecki?
that's my guess.
Okay.
But we'll see. After 18 years of just having my lobes pierced and stretched, I want to get the side labret I really, really wanted when I turned 18. Is tooth and gum erosion just an inevitability, or should a proficient piercer be able to place it to where that wouldn't be an issue? What is the smallest size you would pierce at?
16 gauge is the smallest or the thinnest I would pierce it. It has to be long so you have room for swelling. The side of the lip piercing, the thing is as long as it's not right against that big eye tooth or the canine tooth, because that's when the gum sticks out and you're going to get gum erosion. Now, if you're going to get gum erosion, it's going to happen within the first couple months generally of having it, unless it's constantly rubbing up against it and you can kind of feel it. But the thing is if you downsize to a shorter post, it should create nesting, which means the disc is going to go into your lip and it's going to pull it away from your teeth and your gums, and you're less likely to bite down and do gum or teeth damage. So it is not inevitable that you will do damage. Now, my big concern with any oral piercing like that is if the bead or the gem or whatever on the outside came off, the jewelry goes into your mouth while you're eating and you bite down, now you chip and damage your teeth. That is always a risk. It's not inevitable, but it's always a risk and it is a possibility. So,
Yes.
yeah. So properly placed, properly downsized minimizes the risk a lot, but it's in your
It's always
hand. Yeah.
possible.
It's always a possibility.
Always possible. Mats Berg asks, have you refused to do any piercing because of unnecessary risk? I imagine yes, quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I had someone one time that came in, they were paraplegic, they were in a wheelchair, and they wanted to be pierced basically from like the Prince Albert all the way back through the bottom like of their anus. And they're like, I can't feel anything. I'm like, yeah, but those organs are still in there.
Yeah.
And like, but I can't feel anything. I'll be fine. And I was just like, no.
That is a wild one.
Yeah. I had a girl one time come in. She wanted a surface bar right in the cleavage here, but she was so skinny and you could just see her rib cage right there. And I was like, I'm sorry, you just don't have the anatomy. You know, it's just bone right there. And she looked at me and goes, don't you have a drill or something?
Jesus. Yeah, let's just drill those in real quick.
True stories.
That's insane.
I wonder though, like, what if she let me, like, if I had a drill and she's laying on the table and I'm like, hold still, like, did she think that was okay?
I honestly have. I don't know what possesses a person to be like, oh yeah, it's perfectly fine if you drill into my sternum.
Fashion is the only acceptable excuse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So yes, I have turned people around. Those are two extreme cases. Sometimes people want to get their nape pierced, like the back of their neck. But if I have them do a test and put their head down, if their spine looks like it comes out, it's going to push that piercing rate out. No chance of healing that up, and I'll turn them down. Belly button piercings, I don't pierce outies. It's got to be complete innie.
Nasolangs.
Nasolangs, industrial piercings, eyebrow piercings, tongue piercings, certain genital piercings. I've turned almost every piercing has been turned down at one point in time or another. Yep.
Generally speaking, though, recently we've been getting a lot of calls about horizontal tongue piercings. They've seemed to have reawakened via TikTok.
Go back to sleep.
Yeah, we get so many calls, at least a couple calls every day about them, and generally speaking, all horizontal tongue piercings are unsafe, and we always like to say that there are no high-quality piercers out there that do them.
And my favorite response is always like, why can't I find any piercer to do these?
Yeah, right? Maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yep.
We don't want to get sued.
Yes.
We don't want to be the one
not.
responsible for all your teeth falling out.
Yep, I have seen some horrible aftermath photos of horizontal tongue piercings, just like teeth completely knocked out. It looks like someone took a baseball to the face. It's rough.
No good.
Yes. Somebody in Sloth 7 says, what do you guys think of nose bone studs / nose studs?
I hate them. Pull it up on the good old internet.
Got it.
Okay. So a nose bone is a style of body jewelry that I can't think of any good quality piercer who carries these. This is where you're going to find in like Spencer's and like mall jewelry. It's a straight stud with a little bead on the inside. And the whole premise is you push these things in, the little bead keeps it from falling out. But the thing is a lot of times your skin closes up around it and you can't get those things out. I've actually had to take wire cutters and actually cut the jewelry to get it out of people's nose. I've also seen it where they get it halfway in and the bead gets stuck in the middle of the nose and then grows around there. And you have to rip these things out. It pulls hunks of skin out with it. It's just unbelievable. I mean, can you scroll down again a little bit more? Down. There. See those flower ones? You notice how there's a point on the end right there? Yeah, click on those. Now, there's a point on the end because they are tough to get in, and that kind of rebores the hole when you push these things in. That just kind of goes to show. It's low-quality jewelry. You saw one earlier with gold that Nova's going, big 14K stamped right in the wearing surface. That'll cause bumps to happen. Oh, my God, look at those silver studs, ST19. I don't know how, you wouldn't even be able to get those in. Those beads are so huge on the bottom. The polish is terrible.
It looks so long, too.
That's terrible.
Whoa.
That is some quality jewelry.
Yeah, and made out of silver.
Yes.
And made out of
silver. So those are nose bones. You're not going to find these in shops. I won't even order for people. Someone's like, I just need you to order me some nose bones. I'm like, no, I won't do it. We're a quality shop. I'm not going to support low quality jewelry like that.
Agreed.
You see people with bumps on their nose piercing all the time. They're irritated as they take it in and out and they wonder why they have a big bump on their nose.
Yep. I always feel I've pulled nose bones out of people so many times, and I always feel horrible. There was one in particular though, where it was like a 16-year-old girl came in with a nose bone, not knowing that was what the piercer pierced her with, and when like her mom was with her, and they were like, oh well, how do we get it out? And I was just kind of like,
and rip it.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do this. We just have to pull it out, and it's gonna suck bad.
You just pull it hard and quick, and normally I'm a soft and gentle piercer, but those ones, it's like, sorry, but here, bite down on this leather. We're gonna put a big pliers up here, and we're gonna try to get this out in one shot, and hopefully,
that was one of the
not good.
When I was becoming a piercer during my apprenticeship, one of the things that was very difficult for me was to hurt people. Not necessarily like actually doing the piercing, but if somebody had an irritated piercing, I would try to be super gentle, but sometimes it's actually, and my mentor impressed this upon me, that sometimes it's actually less painful if you're
get it over with quicker.
Exactly. If you get it over with quicker,
do what you need to do and get out.
Exactly. And with nose bones, as you say, you just got to send it.
Grip it and rip it. And it's out. It's done.
Yep. Justine asks, I've been wanting to get the other side of my nostril pierced, and I'm self-conscious about the size of my nose. Is it a good idea to pierce both sides? Heck yeah.
I agree. I was never really happy with my nose until I put like 100 holes in it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't understand why. I don't know. It's just like I have a big brown German nose. It's just, and I started feeling better about it once I started adding the decorations. So,
me too. Yeah, I think
piercings
all noses
build confidence.
They do, and I think all noses look better pierced.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends that are self-conscious about their nose that wear like really big jewelry, and I think it complements it so well.
The whole Black Alien project might not look so hot with a nose piercing. That might be kind of disturbing, to be honest with you.
I don't think that person has a nose anymore, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like you would have like this little ridge of some sort of like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. The one exception.
Willard Del Toro asks or says, I have an industrial, orbital, and in both I have bumps. But I got a conch, and that one I did not get any bumps.
Conch orbital?
No, I think it's
Just a
an
conch.
industrial, comma, an orbital, and in the industrial and the orbital they got bumps.
Yes.
But on the conch they didn't. Now they're also saying that they wanted to get a bigger orbital in the same place as the previous one, but I can't really do it because of the bumps. So I'm wondering.
So you want to do the orbital inside the orbital?
I don't know if they mean an orbital inside the orbital or maybe a larger diameter ring or something along those lines.
Yeah, you got to start over if that's the case.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you're trying to do an orbital inside an orbital, you need to be fully healed. And I've seen those things take over 2 years. The biggest issue people generally have with orbital piercings is they pierce with too small of a ring. And if it's way too small of a ring, the swelling doesn't... It just causes huge, massive bumps. So it's a very temperamental, very difficult piercing to do properly. And on top of that, if it was all those things are right, it's still even difficult to heal. So you trying to look up some orbitals for us?
I wasn't, but I can.
Oh, okay. How are we doing for time?
We are at 1:48. Wow, that happened quick. So
I was
got
like,
about
gotta get
12.
close.
Got about 12 minutes left. So I'm going to
Sweet.
scoot us through these last few. Burrell, you for real says, I really want to get both of my eyebrows pierced. Do you think I can get them both done together, or should I do them one at a time? I'm a stomach sleeper, so I'm kind of worried.
You should be fine. I mean, as long as you're not healing too many other things, or, I've healed both mine up many times in a row, and it's not that big of a deal.
Agreed.
Eyebrows aren't that bad. I steer people away from two cartilage piercings, 2 eyebrows. I don't ever say anything.
Agreed. Let's see. Azrael said, I've always just waited to clean in the shower, never had a problem. I think they were talking about maybe the septum stank. Sarah Wardle says, I'm currently healing a bridge piercing and using Neomed Aftercare, which is great, but my eyesight is bad, so trying not to spray myself in the eyes. Yeah, that's tough. That's pretty funny.
Get some what piercing?
A bridge.
Bridge. Oh, the goggles.
Bridge.
You need to.
Yeah, just hold it
trying-
hold it directly in front of your eyes.
2 monocles. There you go. Put 2
There you go.
monocles in your eyes and spray, and you're good to go.
There you go.
Problem solved. Next.
Agreed. Megan Clements, who was the navel piercing person, said that she has the original jewelry in she was pierced with. It's implant grade stainless steel, which is good. Plain ball on top, flat disc on the bottom, size 7/16, closer to a floating navel. She did say, I do exercise a lot, so my body does bend and twist a fair amount due to my exercise routine.
You need to clean it right before you exercise to make sure all crusties are completely out of there.
Yep.
Because that's going to be the biggest source of the problem. And then also make sure that the bar is the right length. A lot of times when I've actually done like floating navels, the bar's a little bit longer than normal. So your bar could be too short. And when you're stretching in certain routines, it could be irritating and ripping it that way. So that's something to do is like maybe do some stretching routines in front of a mirror and see if you can make it where it looks like the bar's too short and it's pinching. If that's the case, you should get a longer bar.
Agreed. Exercise is tough, though. I feel your pain. I'm trying to heal a large gauge navel piercing while being active, and it's tough.
Yeah, but she's probably not getting kicked in the stomach either by taking Muay Thai.
That is true. I'm getting kicked in the stomach like weekly. It's
It'll be
still,
a miracle if you heal this.
dude. It's hanging on. It has looked bad like the whole time, but it hasn't gotten worse.
Good. We need to teach your navel some self-defense.
Yes, we do. It needs to learn the teep. Tate Felton says, howdy, Scott from Australia.
Howdy.
You should stream this time more often. Yeah, we're going to try.
We're going to try to do one a month, like one in the later of the evening for us and one in the earlier morning. So that way we can reach everybody.
Yes.
Glad you're here. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Tobias says, beard oil works well for my septum stink. Pass it on.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Yeah, I
it's a
love
good
beard
idea.
oil. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of it in there, and I never even thought about that. Yeah, you're absolutely. It's just essential oils is all it is. So, I mean, if there's certain things like tea tree oil, certain chemicals could cause problems, but if it doesn't irritate and you're fully healed, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Yep.
Yep.
Azrael asks Scott, when are you getting a coin slot? Is that a thing you had expressed that you were interested in?
Yeah, I totally want a coin slot. We were talking about having Steve come to the shop one of these days and getting some coin slots done.
Cool. That'd be fun.
But yeah,
No
I kind of
plans yet.
forgot about it. It's just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time.
Yep.
Cool. Nick said, call me crazy, but I didn't find nipple piercing super painful. It was just a very odd sensation.
Okay,
That's
crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. They were painful when I did them, but
I have a very high tolerance for pain. I didn't think they
don't think
hurt
they're
a
that
little
bad,
bit
but
and
yeah.
you're feeling something, but I don't know. I think everyone goes into that expecting so much worse than what actually happens. I really believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cisco said ibuprofen helped though. I don't see another message from you. I'm sorry if we missed it. I don't think we did,
Ibuprofen
but-
can totally help. If you have any sort of swelling, tenderness, things like that, you reduce the swelling, that takes the pain away, and everything just starts feeling better.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't think about that all the time. It's like, my piercing's really hurting. Well, it's because it's swelling and you're putting pressure on there. So reduce the swelling, it takes the pain away. You know, like if you got smacked in the foot or something, your leg's swollen up, they say elevate and get rid of the swelling, and that makes it feel better. It's the same thing with piercings. Keep the swelling down.
Yep. Absolutely. Azriel asks, is there any way I can get a piercing from you, Nova, and Kelsey? We've talked about doing a triple tandem piercing at some point.
Yeah.
I would say if you are truly interested in that, send a message to the shop page and we'll work something out.
I'm guessing it's going to be maybe an eyebrow and an ear and a navel, or some sort of torso piercing, or 2 ear piercings.
Is it a navel piercing or
We
something
couldn't
like
do
that?
2 nostril piercings, but like I said, you did the eyebrow on this side and the ear over here. There's enough separation where we won't get in each other's way.
Maybe like a conch on
Yeah.
one side, eyebrow on the other, and a navel on the other.
Yep.
Yeah, let us know. Maybe
We could work
figure it out.
something out. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, it would.
That'd be a lot of fun, actually.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Alfonso asks, by the way, I want to get a 12 or a 10 gauge Doth. What are your thoughts on that? How would you proceed with that? Thank you guys for the good energy.
I would want to see your anatomy.
Yes.
That sounds
Got it.
really creepy when I say it like that. I want to see your Doth.
Anatomy.
Yes. Make sure there's enough room to support a larger gauge. I don't think I would have a problem doing a 12 gauge. 10 gauge starts getting kind of like maybe not. I would have to see if you had the room to support it. If you had the room to support it, I'd totally do it. I don't know if I'd ever do an 8 though. 10's the big as I would ever go.
That is big.
That's really big, and that's kind of almost like the exception to the rule. So I would say not expected 12, but we can most likely do a 12, maybe a 10. I've never done a 10. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I don't even think this is a name. It just is a symbol.
Okay.
Hi, Scott. I used to have a stretched conch that unfortunately I retired due to a blowout once I hit 10 gauge. In parentheses, I wasn't smart, so it sounds like maybe stretched a little too fast. Would you recommend re-piercing the same area at 6 gauge to deal with the scar tissue?
Okay, so I see where you're going with this question,
Same.
thinking the 6 is going to remove the tissue,
Yep.
and needles do not remove or old tissue at all. If you don't believe me, I do have a video up called Piercing Jose's Lobes, where I do like a 4 gauge needle and follow right behind with like a 0 gauge, but I take a Q-tip and I run it through the needle and nothing comes out. So needles make a crescent incision, displace it off to the side. Now, that being said, if you're moving some cartilage around, piercing it in the same spot, because scar tissue is not as strong as the normal cartilage. So therefore, it should be easier to get if you're going through the scar tissue, and might even heal a little bit nicer for you. There's also more blood flow into scar tissue than there is the normal cartilage. So all that being said, get the size you want. I don't know if I would go much bigger. I had my conches pierced into 4, immediately stretched it to it. It's one of the worst things I've ever done. That sucked really bad. So
Absolutely.
I hope that helps you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Ursula's Odds and Sods is asking, sometimes, or something I've wondered for a very long time. I was only able to do 7 weeks of aftercare on my first nostril piercing in 2003 because I was run over by a car and it seemed to heal overnight. After a serious injury like that, does the body put all of its healing into major wounds and treat the piercing like a minor paper cut? ? That's an interesting question. I'm surprised that happened, to be honest. I would have imagined the opposite. If you got hit by the car, then I would imagine your nostril piercing would be a mess because the body's too busy healing all of the extremely traumatic damage that happened. But I don't know.
But at the same time, if you're in the hospital and you're not moving in bed and you're staying in one position, you're not touching, you're not playing with
you're
it.
getting saline
it's
drips, so
not
you're
being pumped, it's
hydrated.
not-
Yeah. That makes sense too.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to the story. Now, I don't think your immune system could kick in and just magically heal something up that quick. I'm not saying it's not possible. Maybe. I mean, because like if your body's in jeopardy, it produces more of what it needs, more white blood cells, whatnot. And if your body is completely wrecked after being hit with a car, if you got bombarded with white blood cells, would it heal faster? That is an amazing question, and I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, we'll work on it. That's
I don't even know who to ask on that one.
For me, that's a medical professional question.
Yeah.
That I don't think that's something a piercer without any other background would be able to answer.
Elaine might be able to answer that one.
I could also ask.
He's a nurse, yeah.
I have a friend named Nick who is he's a veterinarian and a piercing apprentice, so he did go to vet
Might
school.
be a possibility too, yeah.
Yeah, he might.
We're going to look into that one for you. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That's
thanks,
a really
Emily.
good question. I love this name. Mr. Big Pig said, "Hey Scott, I have a few millimeters of post peeking out of the top of my snug piercing. It was pierced over a year ago. How important is it that I get it downsized?"
Pretty
Thanks so
important.
much. Yes.
The snug is not going to shift back and forth. It's not going to go, like when you lay down, it doesn't get wider. And that one is so easily irritated. So get the right size jewelry in there. And because you don't want to have problems with it, because once you have problems with it, it's just a nightmare. I mean, you healed it up. You don't want to go through that again. So just downsize. It's pretty important.
Snugs are brutal too.
Yep.
So yeah, I would downsize that one and just be safe rather than sorry for snugs.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Agreed. Pirelli asked, or we have two more questions in like 30 seconds. So Crow asked, "Are you going to bring back What Should I Get Pierced?"
In one way, shape, or form. It's going to be a while. I'm trying to turn that into the piercing show and incorporate other piercers so we can do it together. It's a lot of work, and as of right now, no, but it is in the possible plans for the future.
Yep. And Pirelli asks, "How do people react to you turning them down?" Question mark.
It's the worst part of my job.
I agree.
Hands down, the worst part of my job. Like, the biggest nightmare for me is when you get this 16-year-old girl who comes in, she wants her belly button pierced. It's on her birthday. She's been wanting this her whole life, and she comes in and she only has an Audi, and I have to say no, and she starts crying. It's just, I'm sorry. I know there's piercers out there who would do it, but it's very, very dangerous. I am turning you down because you have a beautiful belly, and it's not worth me putting a big scar or possibly putting you in the hospital for this. Some people take it really, really hard, and I'm like, is there other piercings you're interested in? We can talk about something. And sometimes there's a second thing. Sometimes there's not. And it's rough. A lot of people respect me, and they thank me for them as the tears are coming down their eyes. It sucks.
It's true.
Straight
and then
up.
sometimes you get the people that just flip out and throw a hissy fit and,
Yep.
are angry about the whole thing.
I don't see that near as much.
It's
I
true.
mean, if you're actually honest and like you just look someone straight in the eyes and say, "Hey, I'm turning down money for safety reasons. I don't want anything to happen to you. I'm literally turning away the money. I know you can go and get it done down a block down the road, but I'm trying to prevent you from ending up in the hospital."
Yeah, we don't want that.
So
Don't want that. Well, I think that was the last question, pretty much.
that was the last question.
yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. Next time we do this, it's going to be in the earlier morning, and then hopefully we kind of get this alternation kind of thing going out. I did put out a short today, so make sure you go check that out. And
Yeah, we have more shorts and more videos coming out soon.
Yes.
We've been hard at work here. So
we're making progress. It's super fun.
Yes, we are. We're really excited about all the stuff that we've got coming.
So, with that being said, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you all in the next video.